if it's bull or bear, I don't care. It's quite a rough ride, just like life. But I'm kinda patient, 'cause only time will tell. It's gonna go up, so you better stay calm. And grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins. Grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins. Grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome. I am the Crypto Crow. I am live today, and I'm going to be going through such a long list that I don't want to waste too much time yammering, if I'm honest. I'm watching a lot of stuff happening. I'm watching Bitcoin dominance drop behind me. That's what you're going to see that, right? How do you do this? There. Yeah, there. And honestly, I'm in this trade. I'm up like $4,000, and I've been up and down. And I'm not quite sure what to happen. And I'm doing this video because I've seen so many things suppressed about Cardano for so long. And I'm like, now is the time to let everybody know all of the things that you don't know. And that's what this is about. It's everything you don't know about Cardano at midnight, whether it's because it's been suppressed by paid narratives or it just gets clouded by noise. And some of the stuff is eye-opening that I wasn't even sure. I was using AI to help me find a lot of this stuff because it's really difficult to find. And if you don't see it when it comes out or when it's announced, within an hour, it's gone and you just don't know. And if it didn't catch the attention of like myself or somebody else, then it just basically disappears, even though it's still happening. So this is going to be a long list. I've added a link to, there's a link to this write-up on my website. You can click that link below if you want to go back and like Google search any of it or whatever, or you'll be able to just pause this video if you want and look up stuff and verify it. But we're going to start diving into this. I'm not going to waste a lot of time talking today because there's a lot to go over. Argentina's Ministry of Labor and Social Security partners with Cardano for piloting blockchain solutions to authenticate Social Security benefits, track student data, and digitize labor records, reducing fraud in public services. This was announced in late 2024 and is still active. User growth and exposure between 10 to 15 million people. Argentina's labor force and social benefit recipients. This is where you can go to find like this information. Potential transactional volume, $500 million to $1 billion dollars in authenticated benefit payouts annually, with 5 to 10 million verification transactions. Folks, this is one of like 50 things. Okay. And I also want to say this, that I'm going to be going through this list and I want you to picture all of these things. Some of them are tests. Some of them are actively being utilized. There are new things announced. This is going to cover things related to Cardano and Midnight, because there's a lot of stuff with Midnight I didn't even know that I'm sure you didn't either. This list is probably going to blow your mind and you're going to be thinking to yourself, how is this all happening? And I didn't know about it. And I'll tell you why, because a lot of it's been intentionally suppressed by competing chains. While they have everyone running around the internet, chasing the next gimmick, chasing the next highly marketed shitcoin or meme coin or whatever, all of that noise of the millions and millions and millions of these shit coins that have been pumped all over the place to drain you of your money. This is all, to me, I'm telling you, this is all by design. And a lot of this stuff starts kicking off and it starts swarming the positive news related to Cardano. Why? Because this is the war between centralized control and decentralized blockchain. That's why I think one of them is venture capital funded. It's funded by people that just want to make money. They don't give a shit how the world ends up afterwards. Because they all think, well, I'm going to be able to enjoy this in my lifetime and my family too. And it's going to get my family out of whatever comes next. And you know what I'm saying? It's that mentality where it's like, screw you. If you weren't smart enough, then it's your fault, right? That's how a lot of these folks look at things. So anyway, National Technological University, Buenos Aires, Argentina, collaborates with the Cardano Foundation on blockchain education, research and innovation hub, and Entre Rios for transparent social programs. This was announced June 13th of 2024 and is still active. User growth exposure, 2,000 to 5,000 students annually through courses and hub programs. Potential transactional volume is low, 50 to 100,000 educational data transactions focused on non-monetary research outputs. That's cool, man. That's cool. Georgia's National Wine Agency implements Cardano for a nationwide wine traceability system, issuing digital certificates to verify origin and combat counterfeits for exports. Announced originally in September 15th of 2022 and is still active. User growth potential, about 50,000 stakeholders, 30 plus wineries tracking thousands of bottles. Potential transactional volume, 100 to 500,000 traceability transactions supporting $50 to $100 million in export value. Hopefully, and let me know in the comments if you guys dig this list as I continue to get through it. There's a lot. Some of this is going to absolutely blow your mind, and I guarantee you didn't know about half of it. Nairobi Securities and Exchange, Kenya, explores Cardano-based tokenized financing for affordable housing, addressing a $2.5 billion gap via smart contracts for investor returns. This was announced June and July of 2024 and is still active. There were a lot of other things, not a lot, there were probably 5 or 6 other things that were originally a part of this list that were no longer active, so I didn't even leave them. Pretty much everything in here, with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions, is currently active. Keep that in mind. User growth and exposure, 100 to 500,000, targeting underserved housing markets in Kenya. Potential transactional volume, 100 to 500 million in tokenized housing finance, with 1 to 5 million in smart contract executions. This is no longer active. That was an old Dish thing. Baya's Wine, Georgia Winery, uses Cardano with ScanTrust for supply chain traceability via QR codes, storing provenance data to boost global exports. Announced in December of 2020 and is still active. That's interesting. European Investment Bank partners with Cardano for blockchain-based financial services and infrastructure projects, focusing on sustainable development. Announced in 2023, still active. User growth exposure plus millions indirectly via 560 billion pounds of green investment since 2020. Potential transactional volume, 1 to 5 billion in tokenized sustainable assets annually. How you like them apples? Japan Bank for International Cooperation collaborates on Cardano initiatives for international finance and development aid, leveraging blockchain for transparency. Announced in 2023, still active. User growth potential plus 100,000 to 500,000. Aid recipients in partner countries. Potential transactional volume, 500 million to 2 billion in transparent aid flows, with 1 million plus in tracking transactions. Have you heard of, is there a meme coin in this list yet? I'm just curious. Am I missing it? I don't see any. I don't think there are any, is the point. Yeah. Any big rug pull type projects on here? Nope, none of those either. It's going to be very interesting. MasterCard engages with Cardano through summit discussions on blockchain adoption for payments and digital assets, indicating enterprise interest. Announced 2025, still active. User growth exposure plus 100 million via Brave integration tie-in, but MasterCard's 3 billion cardholders in potential. Potential transactional volume, 10 to 50 billion dollars in crypto-enabled payments. Alrighty then. Volvo Group explores Cardano for AI, analytics, and blockchain and supply chain and information management via executive participation. Announced in September of 2025 and still active. Have you heard about any of this? I'm just curious. Let me know. Have you heard about any of this stuff in the world, in the news? Other YouTubers? You probably haven't. Maybe a couple of them you have. We're nowhere near done. Potential transactional volume, $1 to $5 billion in tracked logistics with 10 million plus in data transactions. And you know what? You know why this is a big deal? It's calling them data transactions. Keep in mind, one transaction per second can have 400 or 500 of these data transactions within one transaction, right? Which is not possible on other blockchains. It's only Cardano, which really does expand on its overall throughput. So I found this interesting. The United Nations features blockchain experts discussing Cardano's role in global adoption, focusing on social impact and governance applications, announced October of 2024 and May of 2025, still active. User growth exposure plus 10 to 50 million via a bunch of programs in humanitarian aid. Potential transaction volume, 100 to 500 million in aid distributions, 5 million plus for verifications. We want to know where money's going. This is how they want to do it. They're looking at using Cardano for this. Duh. Grayscale Investments launches spot ETF, including Cardano, enabling institutional access and driving mainstream adoption. Announced originally on July 1st of 2025, still active. This is about to happen this month, just so we know. The decision's been pushed to the end of October, and this is basically getting ready to pop off, as well as a growing list. I've seen probably 6 to 10 new ETF announcements related to ETFs in Cardano, in ADA. And it's once Midnight officially launches, you know damn well Midnight's going to be a part of a lot of this. And then on top of that, I will be willing to guarantee that once Midnight launches, a lot of these ETFs are going to gobble up as much Midnight as possible, and they're going to create additional businesses from those holdings by basically leasing those wallets. I'm hoping they do it this way. I'm hoping they lease those wallets so that other applications and builders can utilize the dust that's generated from those wallets, and the revenue generated goes into the furthering the value of those ETFs. This is going to be some significant exponential growth in a lot of these ETFs, and I think anybody that's paying real attention to what's happening with Cardano, as opposed to just a lot of the paid bullshit narratives that a lot of these other companies are putting out, I think it's going to play a big, big role. I'm just continuing. Bitcoin dominance is still coming down, just so you know. So anyway, user growth exposure, about $931 million annually, attracting 100 plus institutional investors. Potential transaction volume, about $500 million to $2 billion in ETF trades annually. And that's only going to grow. Reliance Global Group holds Cardano in its digital asset treasury as part of real-world adoption strategy. Smart. Funding sustainability initiatives. Announced September 2025. Still active. This was last month. Did you hear about this? I'm curious. User growth exposure plus $120 million treasury allocation, exposing 10,000 plus shareholders. Potential transactional volume, 50 to 100 million in treasury transactions. Scan Trust builds connected goods solution on Cardano for supply chain traceability used in wine provenance to fight counterfeiting. Announced April of 2021, still active. Notice a lot of the programs related to traceability, preventing fraudulent, fake products, things like that, they're all still active. Some of them started as test studies, and then it went to adoption, and now they're all continuing to use the technology. I find that very interesting. User growth exposure potential plus 100,000. Nothing significant, but this continues. I mean, we've got like 3 of these now. Potential transactional volume, $100 to $500 million in traced goods, 1 million plus in QR scans. Oh my God, we're just getting started. This is either going to be a really boring video for you, or this is going to be one of the most eye-opening Cardano videos you've ever seen. We'll see at the end. Agro Labs develops enterprise blockchain solutions on Cardano for agriculture, including smart contracts and supply chain frameworks. Announced July 11th, 2025, still active. Growth potential, 10,000 to 50,000 farmers and stakeholders. Potential transactional volume, 50 to 200 million in agricultural contracts with about 500,000 transactions. Pontifical Catholic University of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, advances Cardano research via Ledger Labs in DeFi, DAO governance, and energy sector applications. Announced April 15th of 2025 and is still active. About 1,000 to 5,000 students and professionals in the program. Potential transactional volume is low, but all adds up. 100,000 in research transactions focused on pilots. So this is basically a group that are working on developing applications for a variety of different use cases and then teaching students on how to further that. That's a big deal. This is all stuff you don't see on a lot of other blockchains right now, which is very, very interesting. Draper University partners as an accelerator for Cardano startups, supporting venture funding and adoption through the Venture Hub. Announced in March 12th, 2025, and is still active. Tim Draper, man, the more I've learned about that guy, the more I'm fascinated with him. I would love to have him on this channel at some point and talk to him about all this. Maybe you guys could do me a favor and go tag him on this or something and let him know. The Crow is interested if he's got the time. I'm probably nobody to him, but it is what it is. I like him. User growth exposure, 20 plus startups with 100 to 500 founders. Potential transactional volume, 10 to 50 million in funded projects and around 50,000 transactions. Brave browser, privacy-focused web browser, my favorite browser, and it's one that I put everyone I know on. I tell everybody, get on Brave, use Brave. Every time, my mother, everybody, my wife, my daughter, me, all my friends, I tell them all, use Brave browser. And this was long before this whole thing. Announced on May 12th of 2025, still active, with Cardano fully integrated into Brave's native and standalone wallets, enabling over 100 million users to manage ADA tokens, participate in governance, and access dApps directly for enhanced multi-chain security and user experience. Isn't that a beautiful thing? User growth exposure potential of plus 100 million monthly users gaining ADA access. And if you're not taking advantage of it, well, you're just not that smart, because you're probably chasing meme coins that are going to rug you in 24 hours. Potential transactional volume, $1 to $5 billion in wallet swaps and governance, and over 50 million plus transactions. HashDex, NASDAQ Crypto Index, US ETF, an asset management firm, announced on September 30th of 2025. With Cardano inclusion effective October 1st, just a few days ago, 2025. Still active, of course, as ADA has been added to the ETF's holdings alongside Bitcoin, Ethereum, Shitcoin, and others, reflecting growing institutional interest in providing diversified crypto exposure via the NASDAQ. How many of you guys in the comments were familiar with that? I'm curious. 50,000 to 100,000 investors via the ETF, 100 to 500 million dollars in ADA weighted trades. Rex shares and Osprey funds, asset managers, announced on October 4th. This was 2 days ago. Doubt you've heard of it. 2025 via filings for 21 single asset crypto ETFs, including Cardano, pending SEC approval, but actively progressing under updated rules for faster processing, with proposed staking rewards to boost yields and attract institutional investors. Oh my goodness. User growth and exposure potential here is plus 500 million AUM potential, 50,000 investors. Potential transactional volume, 200 to 800 million dollars in ETF flows, if, I'll say, once approved. Here's a good one. Near Protocol, Layer 1 blockchain, announced on October 3rd, this was 3 days ago, still active, partnering with Cardano for enhanced cross-chain interoperability through shared bridges and liquidity pools, enabling seamless asset transfers and dApp collaborations to boost DeFi adoption across ecosystems. 1 to 5 million cross-chain users. volume of 500 million plus dollars in swaps, 10 million plus in transactions. That could be huge. How many of you knew about that? What's up, Kane? Reposting this on stream. What's up, man? I appreciate that. I didn't even know you could do that. That's cool. That's awesome. Members Capital Management, a reinsurance fund. I did just see about this recently. Announced on September 22nd in 2025, still active, launching $10 million in tokenized real world asset reinsurance on Cardano via MCM Fund I or one, I'm not sure, supported by the Cardano Foundation as an anchor investor, targeting institutional allocators with crypto eligible investments on Cardano and other chains. I love this kind of stuff. Growth exposure potential, 1 to 5,000 qualified investors. Hopefully that changes soon. Qualified investors means these are probably all like accredited. They all have substantial net worth and all that. Potential transactional volume, 50 to 200 million in tokenized reinsurance. Binance Academy. Now, this I found interesting. Announced on September 25th of 2025 and still active, collaborating with the Cardano Foundation on a free Cardano fundamentals course covering Ouroboros, Hydra, and ecosystem basics, aimed at educating over 1 million users to drive broader adoption. This stuff is big because it generally gives people the opportunity to learn about a particular chain and actually generate some sort of reward or yield. That's a big deal because it works. Coinbase has been doing stuff like this forever. I used to tell people, like, go to Coinbase, click my link, go take the courses on all of this, and you'll walk away with like $600 in free crypto. And then I did another video later, and I'm like, that $600 is worth like $6,000 now, right? I don't know how many of you guys remember that. User growth exposure, 44 million users targeting 1 million plus enrollments. That's a lot. And you know what? Another reason why I think this is a huge deal is because this gives people the opportunity to learn for themselves against all of the bullshit, the misinformation, disinformation, and everything that a lot of competitive chains and their influencers put out against Cardano. All of it's bullshit. Most of the people know it nowadays. So it almost sounds tongue-in-cheek and petty because we still see these people saying this kind of garbage all the time. This will give a lot of people an incentive to learn and understand why that's in fact all garbage. Potential transactional volume, indirect, 100,000 plus post-course wallet activations. So they're estimating maybe 10%. Masumi Network. Payments framework announced on September 23rd, 2025, still active, partnering with the Cardano Foundation to integrate the X402 payment standard for TradFi compatible micropayments, enhancing real world assets and DeFi liquidity on Cardano. User growth, 50 to 200,000 agent users with potential 100 to 500 million dollars in micropayments and over 5 million plus transactions. Now, let's get to some midnight stuff because, as we know, the midnight airdrop has been extended. There have been some issues with some of the hardware wallets. Mine went without a hitch. I was done in like 5 minutes and it was over. But I don't use a lot of these hardware wallets just because I don't trust any of them. I just don't. But Google Cloud, this is the most recent. Announced on September 30th, 2025, and still active, collaborating with the Midnight Foundation to operate network validators, provide confidential computing for data protection, extend mandiant threat monitoring, and offer up to $200,000 in credits via the Google for Startups Web3 program to support builders in zero knowledge and privacy enhancing technology. So basically, Google Cloud is saying, we like this. We want to take advantage of this. And not only that, but we're going to incentivize people to help build applications that we may adopt and use in our own ecosystem. That is freaking huge. That is a big, big deal. This is beyond just like, oh, Google's going to use, like, I remember back in the day, especially with ICOs, people would they would host their like websites on Google Cloud and then announce it as a partnership, right? All that bullshit. Do you remember all that? So one of the reasons I'm so bitter against new projects anymore, and I just don't cover a lot of them, is because a lot of them are just they're built on bullshit. Some of the major blockchains today were built on bullshit and continue to maintain themselves based on the same bullshit while they're continuing to add more bullshit. And it's mind-blowing that there are still so many people that just suck it up. But it is what it is. I mean, to each their own. If it pays the bills, it pays the bills, I guess. User growth potential, 1,000 to 5,000 developers via credits. Potential transaction volume, 10 to 50 million in staked yields, 100 plus validator transactions, 100,000 plus validator transactions. Copper, announced on August 22nd, 2025, and still active, partnering with the Midnight Foundation to support the distribution, custody, and secure management of Night tokens for institutional clients, enhancing access to the privacy-focused network. I still don't think you guys are bullish enough on Midnight. I will say this about Midnight. How do I word this? You know what? I'm just going to say this. I'm aware that Midnight is going to be much, much bigger than everyone realizes. And the people sleeping on these airdrops are absolutely going to cry themselves to sleep one day. I'm telling you right now, they are going to cry themselves to sleep. Some of the things in this list are going to point to a particular direction, and I want you to pay attention to it. If you can figure it out, wonderful. If you can't, you're going to have to wait. Fireblocks, announced on August 13th, 2025, and still active, collaborating with the Midnight Foundation to enable institutional clients to securely claim, store, and interact with Night tokens, boosting adoption of privacy-first blockchain solutions. User growth, 1,000 to 5,000 institutional users with $100 to $500 million worth of token claims and interactions. BitGo, announced on August 8th, 2025, and still active, partnering with the Midnight Foundation to provide secure custody, seamless token claiming, and institutional support for the Night token distribution via the Glacier drop. $90 billion AUM exposure, 1,000 plus clients, $200 to $800 million in custody volume. Assurance Plus, Oxbridge RE, announced on June 16, 2025, and still active, partnering with the Midnight Foundation to launch a privacy-enabled tokenized reinsurance offering on the network, delivering high-yield digital securities for institutional investors with enhanced data protection. 500 to 2,000 investors, 20 to 40% yields targeted, $50 to $200 million in reinsurance securities. Webisoft, announced in September 5th, 2025. I know you haven't heard this. Still active, partnering with the Midnight Foundation to develop an institutional-grade dark pool trading platform on a decentralized exchange, utilizing zero-knowledge proofs for confidential large order executions and open-source components under Apache 2.0. 1 to 5,000 institutional traders, $500 million to $2 billion in private trades. Outlier Ventures, announced on May 30th of 2025, still active, partnering with the Midnight Foundation to launch a privacy-enhancing technology accelerator track in the post-web-based camp program, supporting up to 6 teams with funding, mentorship, and grants for privacy-first Web3 startups in identity, finance, and compliance. There are going to be 6 teams, 50 to 200 founders. $10 to $50 million in funded projects. That's a lot, by the way. Chifi, announced on May 13th, still active, or 2025, partnering with the Midnight Foundation to integrate zero-knowledge privacy education into its 8-week boot camp curriculum for thousands of women entering Web3, of which we don't have enough. Okay, I love to see female builders in the blockchain space. I don't know why, but it warms my heart. I like to see them competitive, and because, you know, if my wife and I sit down and have a conversation about something, her perspective on things is so astronomically different than my own. I actually find that a good thing. I find that a way to establish a really good sense of balance just in our own little world, right? I can go far off into this direction. She can go far off into that direction. And then when we talk about it, we see each other, right? And then we kind of find some place in the middle ground where we can either agree to disagree on this, but we agree on that. Basically, it establishes balance. And I feel like when it comes to men and women in the workplace, especially when it comes to innovation and new technologies and things like that, I think women have a very, very valuable perspective that should much more be utilized than are right now. So when I see this, I'm like, absolutely, bring them on. Let's see what you got. I'm very interested. Thousands in growth exposure, 15% of the women in Web3 target increase, potential transactional volume, indirect, but 10,000 plus wallet activations. This isn't necessarily a huge deal, right? But it's a step in the right direction. And, I think that if you're a blockchain builder and you're a woman, I think this is absolutely great for you. I really do. Blockchain.com announced on August 5th, 2025 and still active, integrating support for the Glacier drop in its self-custodied wallet, allowing users to check eligibility and claim Night tokens directly. This is cool. 10,000, tens of thousands of users, $50 to $200 million in claims. That's cool. Every one of these helps, but I mean, so far from everything I've seen, Lace Wallet has honestly been the easiest and the most relied on. But some people just don't want to use it for whatever reason. I didn't particularly like Lace when it launched, but it's changed so much. It's gotten so much better. And so I use it for a lot of my web-based stuff anymore. Linux Foundation Decentralized Trust announced August 2025 and still active, with Shielded Technologies joining as a premier member to support open source development, including the contribution of the compact smart contract language and board participation by Shielded's CTO. 100 to 500 contributors, over 17 projects and 100 members. Low volume, 50,000 code commits. Nothing substantial, but always a step in the right direction. Brick Towers announced on June 26, 2025 and still active, joining the Midnight ecosystem as a full stack development studio to launch Herbal, a mobile-first privacy-enhanced finance app following wins in Midnight hackathons. So that's interesting. Plus 10,000 to 50,000 app users and about $10 to $50 million in savings transactions. NMKR, we all know and love them. We were actually going to use them for the minting of Wargrum. We may still, we're not quite sure. They were just so busy, we couldn't really get anything going with them in a timely fashion anyway. No fault to them. I mean, no shade or anything. They're so busy working on big deals and big projects. But on June 26, 2025, they announced collaborating with Midnight on NFT development for Developer Academy's Quest system to track progress and contributions, enhancing ecosystem engagement. 1 to 5,000 developers in Quests, with about 10 to 50,000 in NFT mints. That's pretty cool stuff. The Block announced on September 18th of 2025, released collaborating with the Midnight Foundation on a research report titled Beyond Tribalism and Transparency, the Case for a Collaborative Crypto Future, focusing on selective disclosure, privacy, and chain-agnostic Web3 design. All sounds like a beautiful thing. This to me, I mean, listen, I would love for there to be more unity established globally. But, there are people that profit way too much from the division across the board. I mean, it's like, for whatever reason, division is extremely profitable to the people at the top pulling the strings of everyone else. And I wish I had an answer for it. Unfortunately, I don't. Moving on, 100,000 plus readers and downloads, indirectly awareness-driven 10,000 plus transactions. Of course, we all know about the Glacier drop. It's still active. It's still going. 2.5 billion tokens, $500 million in potential value of these tokens being dropped. Core Network Repositories open source release announced on September 18, 2025, and has been completed, releasing key repositories like Midnight Ledger, Midnight Zero Knowledge, and Midnight JS to make foundational privacy technology publicly available for developers. 500 to 2,000 developers over GitHub. Potential transactional volume is fairly low with 100,000 code interactions. But all of this stuff will grow in time. That's the thing. There are a lot of seeds planted in this list. Midnight Foundation launched, announced in May of 2025 and completed, establishing the foundation to govern and advance the Midnight privacy blockchain ecosystem, coinciding with events like Consensus in Toronto. 10,000 plus ecosystem participants, foundation grants of between $10 and $50 million. So a lot of these that are on this list now, I mean, some of them have been completed. Shielded Technologies launched, and we're getting close to the end, so you can breathe here in just a minute. I'm going to cover it all. Announced in May of 2025 and completed, launching is the engineering arm focused on developing and maintaining Midnight's core technology stack for privacy-preserving applications. 100 to 500 core contributors, development focused, low monetary. No problem. Testnet upgrade, announced prior to June 26, 2025, or June 26, 2025, and still active, rolling out performance improvements, stability enhancements, and optimized stage storage via Merkle tree format to prepare for mainnet. Tokenomics and incentives white paper that was out a while ago. Midnight compiler that was announced June 26, 2025, and still available. Glacier Drop extension, which was announced last month, still active, extending the night token claim window by 16 days. I think it was actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was just extended again. They want everybody to get these tokens. Like, this isn't like I feel like any other chain would have like said, oh, sorry, you couldn't figure it out and it's not our fault. But they're trying to extend this and make sure everybody that wants to can claim their tokens. Google Cloud, ADA staking integration. We covered this a little bit. This is a different part of it. Announced on October 3rd, 2025, as an expansion of the September 30th partnership, still active, enabling Google Cloud to stake Cardano tokens directly on the Midnight network for yield generation, combining privacy features with institutional grade staking to attract enterprise validators. 1,000 plus validators expected, 4% yield on $100 million plus staked ADA. And finally on this list, this is 50 freaking things you probably did not know about Cardano at midnight. I hope you at least enjoyed this. Consensus, the 2025 panel collaboration with Brave, Zcash, and Filecoin. Filecoin, I look at is IAG's big competitor on Cardano. I mean, Filecoin's not on Cardano, but that's my point. IAG is kind of like the Cardano version. Still waiting on my Cyclone, by the way. I think it should be arriving anytime now. Announced on May 15, 2025, with follow-up sessions in September, still active, featuring Midnight Foundation leaders and discussions on privacy tech for Web3 adoption, leading to joint white papers on zero-knowledge interoperability shared at Token 2049. 10 to 50,000 attendees and readers, indirectly 100,000 in awareness transactions. Already a comment on here. What's the first comment? Tony, basically an entire real world foundation has silently been built while the social narrative has diverted everyone's attention from it. This guy fucking nailed it. Tony, you got it. Congratulations on your reward for paying attention. Ada and Knight are going to literally change the world. This is just the beginning. He posted that 47 minutes ago. I don't even know if you're in chat, but dude, you just nailed that right on the head. So much is happening on the Cardano ecosystem as well as the Midnight ecosystem that's preparing to launch. And so many people do not understand because they're being drowned out by these bullshit narratives of competing chains that are solely focused on money, not changing the world for the better or doing anything really for anyone other than the top tier people at the top or the influencers that are constantly perpetuating these bullshit narratives in favor of number go up. It doesn't work. It's not going to work in the end because nobody is going to trust use cases like this with chains that are prone to shutting down, centralized in nature. I mean, anybody that's wanting to truly protect information in a real secure way, nobody's using these centralized chains for that kind of shit. And I'm even seeing some bullshit narratives now. You know what? I'm not even going to get into it. I'm not even going to go there. I'm not here to try and dunk on other chains. It is what it is. I don't want anybody to lose money in this market, and that's kind of what makes it difficult for me, because I see so much garbage in the space and I want to call out all of it. But I don't want other people to get hurt, right? And it's like that's kind of the catch-22 here. I don't want to see other people get hurt. And it's just, everybody's going to have to learn at some point, is kind of the way I look at it right now. Yeah, you should claim your night tokens. You're absolutely insane if you haven't. My cold storage wallet worked. Good, Chef. I'm glad to hear that. So they're definitely fixing these things, and I've seen other reports. Dude, no, it's not. I don't know. I shouldn't call you dude. AU 106. I'm not sure what's happening, but it's not a hassle, man. I'm telling you, it's not a hassle. It's very, very simple. I had one little bug. I just refreshed and started from scratch, and then it worked just fine. So yeah, it's a big deal. Let's see. We need to make Tangent Wallet available to do the midnight claim process. I really don't want to miss out on this. Please tell someone if you can. Yeah, I've heard of Tangent, but I'm not familiar with it at all. Maybe if any of them are watching this, maybe they can figure it out, or maybe you should send a support email and say, hey, are you guys ever going to get this? And the thing is just because you're using a hardware wallet, can't you import your seed phrase from that wallet and import it into another one? That's a part of what I haven't understood. Is it people being stubborn? Like, well, I have everything on this hardware wallet and I'm so married to it that I won't use it. Or if there's like an issue or it doesn't work, I'm not going to import my seed into another wallet just to get these tokens. I don't know. Is that what's happening? It doesn't make much sense to me. It's like you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. I think you should do what you need to do. But I only do I have like little bits of resources that I use in a browser window or my browser wallets, nothing substantial at all. But it's just like if I want to test something or I want to do a demo or whatever, everything else I have is locked up. And when I want to use it, I have to go through this big old process to use it. And I do it all on a computer that does not touch the internet outside of making transactions. I don't surf the web. I don't put any software on it. I don't do anything. So I consider it kind of my own hardware wallet, but one that I control a little more than like trusting some third party. There's a difference to me between like a desktop or a laptop computer that was built to be a computer that I bought directly from a manufacturer, to like a hardware wallet from a company that built this specifically for crypto. For whatever reason, that gives me the heebs. And I'm not saying that they're not safe and secure. I'm not saying that, but it's my own paranoia. I am such a paranoid individual sometimes that I take every precaution that I feel like I can or should, just to keep everything as safe as possible. So, it is what it is. So anyway, this is a 42-minute video. There's about 785 of you. Hopefully this video really helps you guys understand what's really happening on the Cardano and Midnight ecosystems. Midnight is coming. Midnight is going to take the world by storm. And I do believe that Midnight is going to be the end-all be-all when it comes to privacy transactions on chain across the globe. And on top of that, when it becomes the privacy layer for things like Bitcoin and XRP and a lot of these other interoperable chains, if you're sleeping on Cardano right now, and you're thinking, oh, the price. Listen, if you look across the board on all these altcoins, nothing is moving in substantial ways. Bitcoin's going up. My Cardano trade right now is starting to correct a bit. How low it'll go, I don't know. But it's Crow is full of shit as we are into Cardano for the pumps. We don't care about its so-called use cases. All right. I mean, you're just not that bright. It's okay. I mean, I don't fault you for that. That's your parents. I don't know what else to tell you. If that's the way you look at crypto, then you've lost the plot. And chances are it's just a matter of time until you get rugged on a meme coin you thought you were going to get rich on. But hey, it is what it is, man. You do you. And that's it. I'm just going to leave it all there. So, hey, 44 minutes in, 800 of you on. I know the longer I get going on a video, I know I get more and more people that get their notifications. But unfortunately, when the videos get super, super long, then it pushes people away from actually checking them out. I'm probably going to try and turn this into as many shorts as I can and just blast the internet. And if you see one, share it all over. Let's inform everybody. Let's out noise the noise that's trying to suppress the value of Cardano at midnight, and do it as a community. We have the power to do it, and we can compete with all of these paid influencers all over the place that are making huge dollars to try and shit on our blockchain, the one that we know is built and designed from the ground up to literally be the layer underneath everything on a global level. Let's ensure that that happens, and let's help each other help each other. Until next time, crow your coins. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.